My favorite fashion accessory will have to be a belt. It's a belt. It can be also an elastic. So anything that accentuates your waist.
You transition from selling the clothes out of your apartment.
It's very important to position your brand in a way that you'd love people to see and to see it, to view it, and to perceive it.
When do you think, this was the moment?
Everyone stood up and I felt like I was flying. I'm like, what is going on?
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another captivating episode of Cocktails on Blurbs with me, your host, Londeka Buthelezi-Ndaba. Today, we are stirring things up in the fashion world with a very special guest, Londeka Buthelezi, a name that resonates with creativity, determination, and innovation. Londie is a mother of three and a passionate entrepreneur who has woven her unique thread into the fashion world, from selling clothes out of her apartment to founding Malondie. Her journey is as inspiring as it is impressive. Her brand, Malondie, isn't just a label, it's a testament to her vision, blending modern trends with timeless elegance, her insights into the ever-evolving world of fashion, and of course, her thoughts on balancing lives with her various roles with grace. And did I say that she's a qualified lawyer? I can't wait to share with you. I can't wait as she tells us her story. Let's dive into this conversation. Welcome, Londie. I am so excited to have you at our very first face-to-face.
I'm so happy to be here. That was a beautiful introduction. Wow. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you so much. You are so inspiring, and I think a lot of our young people, that are starting up will really be excited about, this lounge. So today we call this the Fashion Lounge because today, and by the way, I'm wearing a Malondie.
Yes, we have a Malondie woman here.
Exactly. Could you share with us your favorite cocktail and the story behind it?
I'd say my favorite cocktail is a cosmopolitan. That it brings out a lot of memories for me. Memories of me and my sisters when we started growing up and taking ourselves out. Those were the drinks that they would actually just allow me to drink. So my sisters are a very important part of my life. So any memory that carries them is good for me.
Oh, wow. My next question for you is, what is your favorite fashion accessory and the story behind why it holds a special place in your heart?
My favorite fashion accessory will have to be a belt. It's a belt. It can be also an elastic. So anything that accentuates your waist for me is a great accessory.
And you have a way to accentuate.
Thank you. So basically, I find it as a piece that is important into giving you shape. Whatever you are wearing, the moment you put it on, it's a cherry on top.
And it actually changes the outfit as well, right?
Changes the outfit and it makes everything look proper.
So from the idea to the industry, you transition from selling the clothes out of your apartment. I mean, that makes me think of stories in the music industry where, remember Boom Shaka, when they sold their first cassettes, these kids would not get that out of their car booth. And how does your approach now differs from your early stage when you started your business?
With the experience I've had in the industry, I discovered the importance of positioning. It's very important to position your brand in a way that you'd love people to see and to see it, to view it, and to perceive it. For example, I remember someone said, you can actually take this straw, put it in the garage, it's going to be like garbage. But the moment you put it in a nice museum, people are going to be like, oh, this is amazing.
It's deep. What does the meaning?
You see? So the importance of positioning your brand, that's way it all goes. If you find the right positioning of your brand, then you can get into to your client or to whoever you want as your client.
Can you take us through a pivotal moment of decision that was a turning point for your business? When do you think, this was the moment?
The moment for me, it's when I changed the name from Dream Fashion to Malondie. Malondie is a name that everyone back home used to call me when I was young, and I never used to like it because it's the name, it's derived from the name Londeka. So everyone used to call me Malondie, and by the time I grew up, going to varsity and everything, I used to say, Londeka, I'm not Malondie, because I didn't like the name when my parents used to call me Malondie, my sisters, everyone from back home calls me Malondie. So I struggled with finding the name, but at some point I realized that I need to change from Dream Fashion to Malondie, because now I'm changing. Now I'm really just trying to personalize the brand, create and grow a brand. So I couldn't be Dream Fashion anymore. Anything can be. If you Google Dream Fashion, you find so many Dream Fashions. So and at the time, I was so desperate to find brand identity. And when I remember when I decided to change to Malondie, it was maybe 2-3 weeks when we were busy discussing with my sisters, my husband, trying to find a name. And I woke up one night and I was like, Malondie. And I sent an SMS to my IT lady. I was like, buy the website, buy this, we are done. Malondie is the name. Wow. And it changed like that. And after that, it has been so amazing for me.
I want to talk about, the fashion and community. With your experience in both entrepreneurial and creative realms, and also that you are a lawyer, right? How do you see the role of community and collaboration evolving in the fashion industry?
Firstly, when it comes to collaborations...
And as we do that, I think it's cocktail and blurbs, so cheers.
Yay! Oh, this is very nice.
My son, our barman, siyabonga.
Siyabonga.
That's the surprise. Siyabonga siya.
So when it comes to collaborations, for me, I would say that you can't achieve anything when you're sitting alone in the corner. There's so much growth that is found in partnership. Yes. It won't be on the same level. We can partner. You achieve something from that partnership. I achieve something else. So what I've noticed... in my years of partnering with brands like your Africa Rise, with your AFI, with different other celebrities or influencers, what I learned is that a person who didn't know me and only knew you, they'll know me tomorrow. So that's where growth is.
And it comes back to us as Africans, right? And even Amazulu, like umuntu ngabantu.
Yes.
So that is, so I'm really glad that you also, understand the importance of community, because we are who we are because of our community. Yes. So I'm going to talk about something that is really, important, but also difficult for lots of entrepreneurs. Myself also being an entrepreneur, so I know how hard that is. Funding. So how were you able to fund your dream? And reflecting on your early stages, tell me about your challenges in securing funding, support, and how did you navigate them?
Lindwe, for me, when I started Dream Fashion / Malondie, I was working, and the way I was, every time I get paid, I would invest into the business, to the extent that at some point, I opened a shop right next to my boss's. Yo, guys, bangosha.
Yeah,
like
I can imagine. They had to. I would have.
They had to, because I remember they even had an investigator to follow me, because at times I would leave work, go assist a client next door, come back, because I opened a shop right next to. So it assisted me.
But that's bold. I mean, that really talks about, how brave you are, because that's some serious boss stuff.
It had to be done. When my boss was about to fire me, he said, Londeka, I know the fire. When you have the fire, no one can turn it off except for you. So I'm going to let you go because that fire is going to ruin me, but you need it. Go and satisfy the fire you are feeling. If it doesn't work, come back. And I'm like, he's not going to bring me back this one. But I'm very happy that he actually allowed me to do that. So I remember at some point I did entrepreneur classes with NYDA. So there I got about 50,000 Rand of funding. That was the first and the last funding I got.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's the first time I see somebody who got anything from NYDA. It's not
Are
a
you
shade,
serious?
but yeah, you guys have to do better in supporting young entrepreneurs.
Right?
Yeah.
But right now there's a company called Retail Capital. Retail Capital is actually so amazing because for me it's a matter of just because now we have a relationship. It's a matter of me just giving them a phone call and say, guys, listen, I need this, and they're able to fund the business. They just need to be able to deduct a certain amount of money every day. So they need someone, like they call themselves Retail Capital. So they need someone who has money on their account every day, who has money that comes in. So if you have like your speed point or cash payments, so they need to, if, for example, if they gave you 20,000, maybe you have to pay 200 Rand a day until you finish that amount. So they make the strategy better than actually having to pay a sum amount of money at the end of the month. So Retail Capital has actually been good to me.
I want to talk to you about your global fashion perspective. How do international trends and cultures influence your Malondie strategy, especially with diverse fashion landscape and varying customer preferences, right? Even within South Africa, we're so different with our, with the cultures we have. How do you I know that you are inclusive. I watched your fashion show where you had every, body shape there. But also from the cultural perspective, does that influence the shape, the prints that you have?
Well, for example, before any range I create, I will definitely do some research. My research is based on how I feel at the time, because when I create, it's not mostly about. It can be influenced by international trends as to what is trending at the time, but it's also about what I want to create and how I feel at the time. I create so much depending on how I'm feeling, or what I think is great at the time, of which is what I feel clients normally want. You need to tell them why you actually made a dress like that. When it comes to prints, for example, the dress you're wearing, it's a figure of a woman. I'm not sure if you see that, but it's a woman.
I did not.
It
Oh,
is.
wow.
So when I was creating that, I was talking about body positive. So in the near future, I'm planning on even having ranges that cater for both men and women. There's looks that are going to be like that. There's looks that you need to, you go with the current trend that everyone wants to wear the same thing. You also go with the current trend of that woman wants to be more appreciated, that, listen, if I'm fully figured, that's okay. I can still look nice. I'm way too tall. Women shouldn't be... they shouldn't be making calls and being frustrated or stressed before they make a purchase. We need to cater for them. We need to give them advices before they even call us. It must be there on wherever, online or at the shops, that, okay, you are told, and this is how we make the tall one for taller women, for shorter women, for fuller figured, for slim women. So it's very important for me as a designer to cater for all types of bodies.
So how do you balance creativity and commerce? Because commercialization is very important, right? So you could be, as creative people, sometimes you could create a brand, your clothes, and they're really beautiful, very artistic, but not practical. So how do you balance the fact that, I would still want it to be very creative and show my creativity, but also it must sell?
You know what? With me, I've learned to delegate. So with delegation, I have a team. I have a team of 12. So I have others who are going to, I do the design, obviously the sketch and the direction, but when it comes to running the business, remember, I'm not only a designer, but I am an entrepreneur. So I have to do the work of an entrepreneur. When that garment is made, it needs to move. You see what I mean? So what makes Malondie known is because I'm very big on entrepreneurship. I make sure that something must sell. You can have something as beautiful as you want, but if it's not selling. So I'm big on marketing, I'm big on advertising, I'm big on just putting the name out there, because when you think about it, that's what makes us different from your bigger brands, is that they have the budget to put the name out. So people will only go to the name they're familiar with.
Yes. I mean, I think that's also something that I've learned as an entrepreneur, that people buy from somebody they like. And also trust is very important. So you buy because it's the brand that you trust. I think you've done really well. I mean, I think I told you what I love with your clothes is I could wear your clothes and go to a high-end, I don't know, gala dinner. But I also would be able to find something and wear your vakashelu gogo without being overdressed. And that is, it's an amazing balance when you can find. Many designers struggle with that, and you have been able to get that very, very quickly. And that's why I was telling you that I think when I think of you, I think of Tommy Hilfiger or Tom Ford, where you have still very elegant and exciting, but it's practical. And I love that about your stuff. So, yeah. Now your passion beyond fashion. I know that aside from fashion, you are a lawyer. And what are your other passions? And can you draw parallels between them and your approach to the fashion industry? And I think I'm also curious, why law?
Well, with law, I've always loved law, but with the industry, I got in the fashion industry. So what I decided is that there's another growth into fashion than just being a designer. Because I remember I'm a self-taught designer. So from being a self-taught designer, I went to school thinking I need to study fashion. I got there, studied for 1 month, and I was like, they're teaching me everything I know. And I dropped out, and I was like, what's another growth into law? And then I started looking into, yes, I love law. There's no field in the world that doesn't have the legal part of it. So I was like, started doing my research. I was like, actually, then I can specialize in trademark law, I can specialize in copyright law, I can specialize in intellectual property. So with all of that, I was like, that's another growth into my fashion part, because with this skill that I already have, I can enhance it with the law side of it. So these two don't have to be separate. It can be one thing.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the challenges that many artists in general struggle with, right? Because if you don't have the legal background, that's why a lot of them either they lose their names, or they didn't trademark it, or they sign contracts that are too like, binding them. Or I mean, I've heard that for some of the bigger artists who collaborate with the bigger brands, you'll find that actually the brand, they'll say, yeah, we're going to do this collaboration with Malondie. Like, let's say, for example, with my brand, Malondie and Africa Teen Geeks, for example. Then if I'm going to be putting the money in marketing and stuff, then what they say is that every design then is ours. Then what they can do, once the collaboration ends, they continue selling the design, just removing your name in it. And I think, if you understand the legal side, that's not such a cool contract.
Not at all, because it needs to be in an agreement that even when our partnership iphela, we need to be able to still get royalties from it. I still need to be able to, if that dress sells again, whether I'm still part of the company or not, I still need to get something from it. So that's how empires are created. That's how legacies are created. So it's very important to not sign on excitement.
Yeah, yeah. And it's hard, right? It's hard when you are starting because you're hungry.
Yes.
And you will take whoever gives you, right? And I think I'm hoping that the young people that will be listening to this, you need to understand that patience is so important because when you're hungry, that's when you should be more careful.
Yes.
And try not to allow your stomach to make the decisions, because when you are better off, you're gonna look back and regret them. What is your advice for aspiring fashion entrepreneurs?
You know, I would say that be consistent and just, you know what people believe in? They believe in someone who's going to wake up and keep doing and keep doing. There's a reason why I don't delete my old pictures on Instagram, because I looked at them this other day and I saw that actually I'm coming from very, very far. And I've even forgotten some of the things. I've seen the growth. Even when you look at the pictures, when you look at my social media, you see that there's so much growth in Malondie. I didn't wake up and this happened. So it's very important that be consistent, believe in yourself, believe in your dream, keep doing. In consistency, there's learning. In consistency, there's mistakes that need you to rectify.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I always say, never underestimate small beginnings.
Yes.
You have to start, even when you can't, start from one, right?
Yes, that's true. That's true.
You have to start somewhere. So, what I'm going to be asking you, this question is, I want to know, you just had your first fashion show,
With AFI?
Yeah, AFI.
Second.
Second. And it was amazing to see, on social media, even the newspapers talking about, how did that feel? Like to be, to see your brand and oh my God, this is where I am. You look down, there's Dr. Precious Mutsipe, I don't know who else was there, and everybody just
when I was walking down the stage, I felt like I was flying. Yeah. Because everyone stood up and I felt like I was flying. I'm like, what is going on? Oh my God. It felt like a graduation.
Yes.
When you feel like...
And it is, right? It is, because you graduated from selling from, or social media and doing that, and to a point of where to say, okay, guys, take me seriously now. I am, there's Malondie.
The recognition is amazing. And when I saw Malondie women walking in, dressed in Malondie, and I was like, what is going on? So it was amazing. It was such a beautiful feeling. It's growth.
Yeah.
I actually realized how much I've worked. And the next thing I felt after was I felt pressured, because I was like, what's next for me? Because anything I do needs to top what I did yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's self-pressure, because for me, I'm not pressured by anyone, but it's what is instilled in me that you just need to work hard. I pressurize myself to be the better person that I was.
No, and that's important, because you need to have that, competing with yourself to say, you know what, yesterday was good. Because for me, what I do, for example, if I win an award or what I do, I'm like, okay, I'm going to celebrate today. I'll come in the house and just nag everybody. I'm like, you guys, I'm an award-winning woman, and I celebrate. But tomorrow it's done. Because, it's the same thing with failure. You need to move quickly from it. And you need to do the same thing with winning, because if you don't, then you become the person who's, you see, in 1998 or in 1963, this is what I did. What are you doing now?
It's funny you spoke about failure. With any failure, I keep saying it means it wasn't supposed to happen. Yeah. So I think it's with my experience that when I failed, what I failed on 5 years ago, when I remember today, I'll be like, actually, I was being saved from what? Yeah. I remember when I closed doors in Mainland, I was crushed. I was crying. And this was 2020 February. I was like, our numbers are not making sense. Let's close doors.
Even before the pandemic. So you can't even use the pandemic as an excuse, right?
It was Feb. Yeah. And then end of March, COVID hit.
You can't do anything.
All my neighbors at the shop were calling and saying, "You are so lucky. We wish we closed with you," because the mall still wanted their money. They still wanted their
They have
rent
to
with
pay the
everything
rent.
shut
Yeah,
down.
it doesn't matter.
So I was like, you know what, some things, and I had to take a different direction in the business, invest more on my online, invest more in marketing the business. And after that, there was more recognition into the brand.
When you look forward, how are you, planning? Because, for example, for myself, I don't like long-term goals, because long-term goals, I feel like you get lazy and you think I still have time. So my goals will literally plan over 6 months. What is it that I want to achieve in 6 months? And 6 months, this month end, you're almost there. So there's always that pressure to say, I haven't got it. And the pressure that I put on myself. And that's how you're able to also evolve and continue to do more. People are like, how are you doing so much? Why are you doing so much? I'm like, oh, that's because the reason is because every plan I have is 6 months. And after 6 months, what's next? If that didn't work, let's analyze. Can I do it better? For me also with that, but also for you with the industry that is so fast-paced, it's just like technology, right? How do you stay unique and also have that important, like what the centered without, because sometimes the trends are not so good, so you don't also want to lose the essence of who you are by trying to be.
The reason why I decided to have such a big team is because when I can decide on a range today. I'm that person that I also just want to do what I'm feeling now. Don't make me wait.
We're the same.
Yeah, Bona, right
I'm
now.
Like, Lord, give me patience now.
Yes. So now with the range I release now in November, when we look at it, that we were speaking with the team that no, the next range needs to be in April for winter. And I'm like, but what am I going to be doing for the 4 months?
I need sitting there and just
there's a lot of things that we still need to do with the marketing of the range, yes. But for me, I need to keep creating. That's how I feel. That's how I think I get better. That's where I feel more powerful. When I have to create a garment, there's nothing as fulfilling for me to see something done. Something that I was envisioning, now it's properly done. It's right in front of me. It feels like magic. Wow. So I constantly want to create.
I ask this question of every guest, is if you were to create a cocktail that represents the essence of Malondie, as your brand, but also Londeka as the person, what would it be called, and what would be its key ingredient?
Ingredients would have to be your watermelon, spinach. Oh, wow. Yeah. Pineapple. Pineapple makes me sick, but I like it. So basically... I'm
still stuck on the spinach on a cocktail, but okay.
You know what it does? It changes the color. It automatically doesn't give you the illusion that you're hoping for, because when you put watermelon and pineapple together, you'll get like a yellow or a pinkish finish. But once you put spinach, then it changes green. Then it gets people asking that, what is that? So in that sense, is that you put anything together and create an illusion of what people didn't think it would become.
Thank you so much for taking your time. I think I've been nagging you so much because I really wanted to do this interview. You are so inspirational. You're one of those people that if I were to, think of people that I want my young girls to look up to, would be somebody like you. Thank you so much, guys. And I, as you move on with your life, I think if you were to take one thing from this interview, is that there are no shortcuts, and most importantly, you need to be willing, you need to believe in yourself when nobody does. And it's so important that you also have to encourage yourself when there's nobody to encourage you. And power really comes from within. And I hope for all the women out there, you can be a Malondie woman because she caters for everybody, and I'm proud. I'm a very proud Malondie woman. You're going to be seeing me Malonding everywhere. Thank you. I can't wait to see you at our next interview. Take care.
Bye.